Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, March 20th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today is, we love to see this card in this position. We have here our 5 of Cups in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy. I know we've seen, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. I know there was a lot of energetic intensity that we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks, but as we are always typically expecting for periods of equinox, we are starting to see a lot of the result of some of that heavy energetic work, right? A lot of that was almost requiring, we were almost seeing that energetic equivalent of having to put a lot of seeds in the ground, if you will, really feeling like you were pushing the envelope in terms of trying to get done as much as you could get done. It's not surprising for us to often see that type of energy coming to the surface prior to Mercury retrograde starting, right? It's like that moment of wanting to try to navigate or amplify as much as you can prior to feeling that energetic slowdown. We see here for a lot of the masculine and feminine energy in the heart of the divine union frequency, this is resulting in some sense of easement, right? Even now, there's that moment of energetic catharsis that's potentially coming into play right now, because this is that feeling of easement that is entering. And where do we see that easement coming through? By continuing to maintain that positive perspective, continuing to turn towards what feels like it is serving you. For the masculine and feminine energy that's in the heart of the divine union frequency, what do we see that is happening? That is that moment of the amplification of recognizing when difficulty occurs, difficulty will also pass. When things are going hard, just wait a little longer and they'll start to look better. So even now we see that a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency is doing that hard alchemical work of taking as negative and turning it into a positive. Allowing oneself to find those positive moments right now is amplifying the energetic equivalent of what is occurring in the divine union frequency that allows for that level or degree of productivity, because it's that moment of, again, recognizing that that is an intentional internal journey. Not waiting for things to get better, doing what one needs to make them better, putting that energetic grease on the wheels, if you will. I even said over the last few days, we saw that it felt like you had to give things a little bit more grease. This is where we see that result of doing so is having a little bit of that energetic return. It takes a little time. It's not instantaneous, right? It takes a little bit of time. And we see even now that feeling of seeing something energetically returning in that way is creating that sense of positivity. It's creating that sense of optimism. It's creating that reminder that when things are difficult, that difficulty point will also, like the assured thing is, that will energetically change and shift. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency right now. This is, again, the amplification and recognition point that a lot of the energy is having. If this is a moment or modality wherein you push through an abandonment wound to continue forward into the divine union frequency, that was the energetic breakthrough. That was the energetic breakthrough. A lot of the energy right now coming into the divine union frequency is going through. I want to describe what may be feeling like that high-low of experiencing something positive right now, while also going through what I best want to articulate as an energetic grieving process, if you will. What happens when we experience these energetic grieving processes? These are moments or modalities wherein either someone is recognizing and realizing something about their own journey that they wish that they had learned a little bit sooner, right? Having that moment of being able to look back and say, I wish I had had this when I needed it, because that ability to do so may create some of that backwards thinking that can pull us out of the divine union frequency. Or this is energy that is tangibly seeing that departure point, energy that is moving away from them due to them coming into divine union. Is this energy chasing after that feeling, that anxiety, that fear, that sense of loss? No, this is energy that has overcome their own abandonment wound. And by overcoming their own abandonment wound, what we effectively energetically see is happening right now is even now that determination, that mutuality of being able to observe, and even now the counterparts, building that connective tissue in this degree, building that ability to like hold forth and almost recognize to one another that that process of letting go is the sign of a deepening connection. Right? Going through that simultaneous mourning process at the same time as you're moving forward or deeper into the heart of the connectivity point. That is the ability that we see that the energy itself is also learning how to like energetically alchemize, if you will, taking that negative and keeping one's own focus on the positive. We see even now that this is the energy moving very much in alignment with the heart, the energy that's already in the heart of the divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine energy that's in separation. This is that energetic light at the end of the tunnel that we were talking about. For a lot of the energy right now, we see that for a lot of the energy in separation, potentially moving away from a situation or scenario where you recognize and you feel like something is not healing, but almost releasing it for the sake of what you do not know is around the corner. That almost feels energetically like that dark night of the soul energy, that feeling of uncertainty, that feeling of anxiety, even potentially a lot of that fear as to whether one feels like one is doing the right thing. That is why we see so much of this energy is almost going through that self-review process, asking oneself if there's anything else that they could do to facilitate a healing gesture on this, because this is energy that's not trying to break away from someone for the sake or the desire of their own autonomy. Rather, this is energy that is looking towards the desire of building forth with someone, but hoping and aspiring for that to be a healthy divine connection. A lot of this energy, even at this time, starting to see the results of that work, starting to see the new energetic connections, starting to feel that sense that they're not alone on this journey, potentially even now having those moments or movements that are pulling them closer now towards the energy that feels like it is easier, feels like it is in alignment. And even now, that energy, is that energy forgetting about the past? No, the energy's holding space for the past. They're holding that point of grief because that is the modality of someone saying, I didn't aspire to go in this direction, but I'm doing what I know is right, and I can hold mourning for anything that I feel like I would have liked to them come along with me on this journey, but they made the choice to go in an opposite direction. That ability of embracing that, but also amplifying and allowing that to steer you forward right now, is that moment that one does not necessarily feel like you're closing a door in any way, shape, or form, so much as you're just continuing forward on your own path. Masculine and feminine energy, second card in our spread for today is, we have here our Three of Cups. So what we're effectively identifying at this time for masculine and feminine energy in this modality, being able to see, being able to energetically see counterpart energy. And this isn't even necessarily moving us right now into a romantic space. This is just feeling that amplification of energetic support around you as you go into this healing gesture, going into this hard work, going through these process of breakthrough, these cycles, if you will, in terms of feeling that sense of easement returning. That is that moment that may feel again like that sense of not just feeling energetically like you've done the right thing, but also feeling a lot of expression in the energy around you that's giving you support throughout that journey, right? Almost giving you that validation. Seeing some of the energetic results of making those choices right now is almost creating that sense of like celebration, because again, it's that feeling that you know that you're in the right place, but at the same time, there could be some of that energetic feeling or sadness about feeling like something is missing. Why is that happening? Because that's that moment that you're recognizing that you're continuing forward on your own path. That aspiration and desire for someone to join you in that direction, that is something that is ever present, especially if you're on a healing journey, because that is that moment that, again, you didn't let the abandonment wound amplify you and keep you in a space or place that felt like it was the wrong place for you. But instead, that is that moment that feels like the amplification space of being able to hold an area that can contain grief at the same time as holding joy. Being able to find spaces and places where you can navigate both of those spaces is energetically what is creating a restoration point for a lot of the energy in separation, even while it may be energetically heavy. What do we call it when we're feeling space for grief and joy? That's called heart opening. Heart opening is not just when you're feeling happy all the time. Heart opening isn't when you're feeling sad all the time. Heart opening is when you have the ability to feel multiple things at once. So we see even now that a lot of this energy is going through that process of heart opening and being able to make space in both of those areas. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, you're also going through the same heart opening exercise. If you're going through a process where you're saying, if I'm so happy, why do I feel so sad? If I'm moving in alignment with the determination point that I know is right for me, why am I still feeling that sense or well of grief in the same time? That's because you're not living in a world of illusion. You're holding space to be able to experience multiple things at once. So we see even now, for the energy that is going into that process of true divine union, that is that moment that amplifies that sensation of feeling that sense of joy, feeling the connection that you're building with another, but also experiencing or seeing the fact that there is something that you feel almost like you're energetically leaving behind in the process, right? That's not a closing out of the heart space. That's not making yourself pretend that you don't feel something. That is that moment that you're almost allowing the lights to come on in your own heart, because that's that moment that says, like, yeah, I'm going to put the lights on in the basement and the attic. I'm going to feel the sadness that I'm feeling at the same time that I'm also feeling that amplification of joy. So we see even now, for a lot of the energy going through this process, it is feeling, you may be feeling like you're feeling more than you felt a lot. That's that intensity that we described. But that intensity is almost allowing right now. Does we see here that that's an intensity that's pulling you out of connection? No. That's the affirmation of feeling like one is moving in alignment with your path, even while holding some sadness for what needs to be left behind in the process, while also feeling and allowing that energetic amplitude of joy to override or to take that space, because you're not trying to hide or close something off. You're just allowing it to all kind of hold space within you. So even now, we see that this is allowing for a lot of this expansion point. Masculine and feminine energy that is in the heart of the divine union. This is a lot of that energetic healing that we're seeing to a certain degree. And a lot of it has to do effectively with that sense of recognizing how much you have changed since entering the frequency of the divine union. This is that modality. I told you, a lot of the energy that's in the heart of the divine union has been observing all of those shifts. They've been observing what is energetically effectively changed around them at this time, potentially even observing where you may have been at the start of entering the divine union frequency to where you find yourself now. And even now we see that there may be what we're calling some like energetic shedding that's occurring right now, recognizing the things that don't feel like they're energetically serving you anymore. But even now, we see that observation of being able to do so feels like it's being met with something that feels aligned to like energetic gratitude, if you will. Having that modality of celebration, having that modality of excitement, looking forward to what lies ahead, even as you're feeling some of the anxiety about what you're leaving behind in the process, right? What is the energy doing right now to amplify and to make that heavy work easier? I told you, that reminder of basically saying to one another, you are not alone. You've got this. Keep going. I am there with you every step of the way, even in the places and spaces that I am not. Know that I am with you. I'll be with you every step of the way, except for the places I can't go. And I will be beside you even as you go through those moments from within. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is we've got here our Page of Cups in its upright. Masculine and feminine energy. I keep telling you, this is having a little bit of a different impact on these energies. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Masculine energy is moving more into that space. I keep saying the masculine energy in the heart of the divine union frequency is getting more and more in touch with their child center. And I say that in a positive way, because what am I saying when I say that we see that a lot of the masculine energy in the heart of the divine union frequency is working through a lot of that child energy? That's beautiful, because that means that there's a lot of inner child healing that is occurring right now? What does the inner child healing look like? Does that mean that we don't act like a child? No. It means that we start to heal the wounds of the child. We don't move from a space or place of letting the unhealed child navigate us, but rather allowing that center, allowing that energy of the child to be nurtured, to be cared for. It's bringing that space of place of nourishment for a lot of the masculine energy in this modality. This is why we saw that ability to be able to feel like you can come into a connection where you can shed your energetic armor. That isn't a point of, again, feeling babied by a feminine energy. That is the point of the difference between a feminine energy dictating what the masculine should do, or a masculine being resistant to it, to a masculine that feels like they can allow their inner child out around a feminine and know that it is safe, know that it is protected, know that it is nurtured. That is how we heal the inner child, not by doing whatever we want, but by allowing our vulnerability to be expressed and exposed, and then having the feminine be able to say, I will protect you in that space and place of vulnerability. Feminine energy, feeling that at the heart of the masculine energy as well right now. This is potentially a masculine energy that you're potentially seeing that side of them coming out to play, like literally energetically coming out to play. So we see even now for a lot of the feminine energy moving through that in the heart of the divine union frequency. That is that modality. What happens to a feminine that sees a masculine moving into a state or space of vulnerability? They become very protective of them. They become very energetically protective of them. They start to take on the qualities and the traits of the masculine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. By affirming and building that sense to tell the masculine, it is safe to be vulnerable around me. I recognize that. The feminine energy knows, if there's something that the feminine energy knows, it is the desire of wanting to be able to be safe in being vulnerable around another. This is right in the feminine's wheelhouse. This builds the energetic resilience in feminine, seeing a masculine in this modality. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union. This is why, if the masculine energy right now has finally had some kind of breakthrough point in recognizing that not everybody around you desires or aspires to see you in divine union, this modality of recognition point right now is effectively and energetically what a lot of the masculine energy is either navigating from the present construct of what you're moving into, coming into divine union right now, or looking back on past circumstances and situations with a new set of eyes. So even now for the masculine energy coming into the divine union frequency right now, that breakthrough point, it feels like it is bittersweet, because while one observes something from the past that one cannot change, you can change it somewhere. Here. You can change it right here. So we see that a lot of the energy of the masculine going through this and coming into the divine union frequency, that observation point that feels like a little bit of that gut punch and realizing something that feels like it's a little energetically late, but at the same time saying, were it not for that, I would not have that understanding. Allowing that not to be a place of falling into remorse or sadness or regret, but letting that amplify and invigor your present, taking that lesson and doing it what you can in the moment, is what is energetically amplifying the heart opening moment of the masculine coming into divine union. Because that's that moment that almost says to the masculine, I can hold space for both. I can hold space for the grief in terms of what I wish I could have changed in the past, while also appreciating what I have in the present. This is the masculine making room for both to exist. Feminine energy going into the divine union frequency, seeing a masculine energy that is able to talk about these things, seeing a masculine that's not hiding this type of work, seeing a masculine that's not quiet about this, seeing a masculine that's almost vulnerable and saying, it's hard for me. I'm seeing spaces and places from the past that I wasn't seeing in the right way. I'm learning things. The feminine feeling the masculine articulate on them to feminine. This doesn't make a feminine feel like afraid that the masculine is going to run off somewhere with it. This is a feminine energy that feels the full valuation of seeing masculine in that modality of observing feminine as the counterpart, observing feminine as the confidant, recognizing that this is feminine energy that you can have those resilient conversations with and aren't going to take them as a point of injury, but instead are going to let that be the connective tissue through which that you build that deepening of a connection. Because what is the feminine energy coming into divine union seeing? If they see a masculine energy that is being open and vulnerable about the past relationships, or even the present relationships around them. This is a feminine energy experiencing the same thing that the feminine energy in the heart of the divine union frequency is feeling. This is the masculine energy healing the inner child, being open and vulnerable to the feminine. And what is the feminine doing towards the masculine that's being open and vulnerable to the feminine? Feminine is building that resiliency point and saying to the masculine, I am here to protect you. I understand. We are building this together. We are building this together. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. This is why we see that a lot of this energy, if in separation, is maybe feeling what I want to describe as the energetic equivalent of something that feels akin to like the light at the end of a tunnel. You've been going through a bit of that dark night of the soul. You've been feeling a lot of that, like moving with a lot of energetic hard work away from something that you feel like wasn't in alignment with you, trying to get back on your own path. A lot of the energy doing that right now, still holding that sense of grief, still feeling a bit of that energetic tug. What is the energy in separation doing as they feel their tug? They're saying, is there anything else I can do to heal this? Is there anything I can do to heal this? This is the energy that's utilizing the power of healing as opposed to the desire or the easement or the comfort level to affirm and say, I am on a healing journey. You can come with me or not, but I'm going on the healing journey. So even now we feel like that energy doesn't feel like they're energetically releasing someone so much as they're moving in that direction with the conviction of what they know is aligned to their own path. What is happening to the energy that's doing that? You're getting caught in the flow of the energy that's on that path. You know, you're moving yourself into that energetic frequency. That's when you're going to start to feel that shift in the current. You have to push against it in order to find it. So we see that a lot of the energy that's been able to do that right now, what you're pulling away from, it feels like it is now lessening. What you're moving towards feels like it is amplifying because you're doing that hard work of pushing against that energetic current to get you back in the current that you aspire and desire to be on. And this is that moment that we see even now. The sad part about this isn't feeling the sense of that relief of getting back on that current. It's the aspiration and desire of who may have gotten you off the path in the first place. The hope that you wanted to facilitate bringing them with you, but potentially recognizing that that is a choice that they ultimately need to make. That is where we see that even now there's that sense of peace and catharsis that's coming into play in feeling the weight of having done what one feels is energetically right. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here the Wheel of Fortune. What happens when we feel like we're doing that right thing? That intentionality, it can be heavy. It can still create that space. It doesn't mean that everything is positive. It feels like everything is aligned. It feels like getting that affirmation. It feels like seeing that sign of support around you energetically or metaphysically that's saying, keep going. I love you. You've got this. Keep going. I love you. You've got this. Keep going. That sense of feeling that rightness coming into play, that easement that is coming in, as it were, is allowing for that moment that's almost creating that sense of clarity, particularly in relation to whoever you are potentially working through something with that you are hoping or aspiring to have something energetically healed on. Because what is the beauty of being on a healing journey? Is that door ever energetically closed? No. The gates are always open to be able to go on that healing journey so long as someone is ready and has the intentionality to be able to step through them. We cannot bring someone else into a healing journey. They must make the intentional choice to walk that path. And even when we try to, they'll pull us off of it, because that pulling back is the experience of feeling getting off of your own path work. So we see even now a lot of the energy going through this, that sense or that conviction, that affirmation, either within or without, that's saying, I know that I'm doing the right thing, even if it's hard. In fact, if it's hard and I'm doing it, that's probably a good articulation of the fact that it is the correct thing to do, right? That modality, if you will, is now almost allowing a lot of the energy and separation to start to feel like you're coming into alignment with a lot of energy that is simultaneously and similarly on that same journey. So we see even now, while there may be that moment, and where is that space or place? Is that energy that's pretending that nothing has happened or occurred prior to this point? No. This is energy that is holding space. This is energy that is holding grief. This is energy that's like going, I did everything I could do. I couldn't do anything more. And what's the energy around them doing? They're saying, you did everything that you could. That you did everything that you could. Keep going. We all feel this. This is the energy saying, we all feel this all the time. We always hold the grief for what we cannot heal. So even now we see that a lot of that energy is feeling a lot of that catharsis coming into play, a lot of that equilibrium where the energy of coming into flow starts to overtake the energy that feels like it was pulling you out of alignment. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into the divine union frequency. This is going to feel less like that moment of coming back into alignment, so much as you feel like you are moving in a way that you don't know what's going to happen next. You're moving into that unfathomable territory. Why is the energy coming into the divine union moving into that unfathomable territory? Because this is the moment that you've effectively energetically broken free of some kind of cycle, particularly if it was if this is the first time that you're coming into the divine union frequency, right? A lot of that power of observation, potentially even feeling an abandonment wound being triggered by the intensity that you started to feel coming into connection point, either feeling that moment internally that was trying to cause you to run away from that feeling, or the energy around you tangibly trying to pull you out of coming into the frequency of divine union. The power of observation and clarity coming into play around these circumstances or situations. This is that moment that feels like an energetic breakthrough, but it is almost that moment of anticipation and not being necessarily sure like what exists like in that next mode, like what happens next, right? So even now, this is that moment that feels like the energy of masculine and feminine as counterparts, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Almost like taking that step into the unknown together, right? And what is the amplification of the energy that is feeling the anxiety around that? Are they white knuckling it and pretending that they're okay? No, they're holding space for each other. They're talking about their grief. They're talking about their anxiety. And what are they affirming to each other as they do that? You've got this. Keep going. I'm here with you. I feel it too. We're both feeling it. We have one thing that we can be assured of. We're doing that together. We're doing that energetically together. And that ability of feeling that sense of energetic support is what is energetically healing a lot of these abandonment wounds right now. Because that is that sense of like moving into the unknown, but feeling the confidence that you're not doing it in an energetic vacuum. Masculine and feminine energy that are in the heart of the divine union frequency, what we effectively energetically see right now is this is that moment that you are experiencing that, but within your own self. Because what has been occurring right now for a lot of the energy in the heart of the divine union frequency, this isn't feeling so much like the energetic breakthrough as to where you're taking that relationship or partnership going forward. You probably already have a lot of those plans in place. You're having more of a point of observation in how much you have changed, how much you have evolved since coming into the divine union frequency, moving into that modality of, again, challenging one another, but not challenging one another in a way that feels oppositional to one's own pathwork, rather acting as a clear mirror for a counterpart energy, holding the template of another as that point of reference in terms of what they're aspiring to do versus what you see. Doing that hard work of helping someone stay on alignment when they stray off their own path. Not saying, hey, you're off the path I want you to be on, but almost saying, hey, I know you aspire for this on yourself. You're going a little sideways. You're going a little left. You're going a little right. I'm helping you. I know. I hate telling you this because I don't want you to take it the wrong way, but I'm saying this because I know who you aspire to be, right? Having that modality and that ability to do so is allowing for a lot of that same sense of exploring the unknown, but it's exploring the unknown of the self. It's exploring the unknown of the self. Because that is that moment of saying, like, you're like, I am becoming a new version of self, constantly aspiring for that. And I don't know what's around that corner. But again, what is the energy in the divine union frequency saying to one another? I am with you every step of the way. I am with you every step of the way, regardless of what that looks like, regardless of what shape that takes, regardless of how it changes. We will continue to hold forth and hold each other in that embrace as we continue forward. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, I've got you. You got this. Keep going. And this is the only thing that we're effectively seeing, that one of the things that is a challenging space right now for a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency is you're running all cylinders. You got all the cylinders cranking is what we're energetically seeing. We are seeing the fact that we've got a lot of this energy here, just like really putting everything they have into this work right now. So we see even now, why is the energy in the heart of the divine union frequency effectively putting so much of that energetic work in right now? This is the energy at the heart of the divine union frequency that is doing a lot of that hard work because, again, they're trying to bring those manifestation goals home faster, right? What do we do when we have a manifestation goal? Do we just say, like, I like this and sit around twiddling our thumbs? No, that's not how manifestation works. You put the energy out and then you say, my part of that is I'm going to do everything I can to facilitate it on my side, right? That's what it means when you work in partnership with God or the universe. You say, I'd like this, and I'm also going to help do it. I'm going to do everything I can do to do it as well. I'm not just putting it in your hands. That would be very selfish of me. I'm going to do everything I can to help expedite that as well. So we see a lot of this energy that is doing that, recognizes that asking and desiring for something is only one part of that parcel. The other part is you actually have to do the work. Okay? You can put the bread in the oven, but if you don't put the dough in the oven, you're not going to have any bread. You've got to do your part of it. So we see that a lot of this energy right now, what's beautiful about this is the energy that is doing that, not just for their own self, but that is almost something that they're doing in alignment with the counterpart energy. Seeing someone working to that same capacity encourages us to want to have that same amplification. It wants us to do the same work. We want to get our hands dirty, right? You're not the type of person that sits around and watches someone do something. You're the person who wants to come in and say, I can do something like that too. So we see that a lot of this energy is just like, again, a lot of work being put in right now with that sense of feeling like the time is right and now is the time to do it. It is. It's the equinox. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now. This is that modality of not knowing what this looks like, right? This is that modality that we're effectively seeing in relationality. If you've come into this breakthrough point when you're just entering the divine union for the first time, and you've just realized that either you've been self-sabotaging this whole way, every time you felt like you were coming into divine union, you ran away from it because it scared you, or you realized that every time you were coming into divine union, you let the energy around you sabotage you, which was also a form of self-sabotage. This modality, this recognition point this is not just the sense of coming into that space or place of feeling like you're having a breakthrough with an external energy. This is that moment that feels like you have had a breakthrough within yourself because you're no longer allowing that abandonment wound to move you away from what you're effectively energetically desiring. So what we see right now for a lot of the energy moving forward in this way, there is that feeling of uncertainty. You may be feeling like you're breaking your own cycle so much that you don't know what's next. You don't know what that next thing looks like. What is the energy, much like the energy in the heart of the divine union, saying to one another as they experience this? It's a celebration point. I've got you. We can do this. We're doing this together. You're not alone doing this. We're doing this together. So a lot of this energy going through that difficult work, feeling that anxiety point. And what is the energy coming into the divine union saying? That's not anxiety, it's excitement. It's not anxiety, it's excitement. I refuse to acknowledge that as anxiety. I'm turning it into excitement. Tell me what the difference is between anxiety and excitement. Perspective. Masculine and feminine energy in the heart of the divine union separation right now. What is the difference between anxiety and excitement? What is the difference between anxiety and excitement? Perspective. So a lot of the energy right now in separation, having that moment, feeling the anxiety of what they're leaving behind. Have the same energy now, don't you? Same energy, starting to feel a little bit different. That thing that you thought was anxiety is now starting to look a little bit more like a butterfly, right? That cocoon, that anxiety, that uncertainty, that anxiety, transforming it with love, taking the fear out of it, having that excitement, putting that love in instead of the fear, putting that love in instead of the fear, taking the anxiety, saying, I'm not anxious, I am excited. I am excited about the possibilities. I'm not worried about what I'm leaving behind. I am excited about what I'm seeing. I'm not worried about making the wrong choice. I am excited because I trust my judgment. Taking that energy, not losing it, recalibrating it is what we see is happening right now for a lot of the energy in separation. And it is taking a lot of work. I told you, sometimes you need to energetically grease those wheels. Sometimes you got to put your own manpower into it, right? So we see even now, that is that moment of saying, I am greasing the wheel to move it in the direction that I aspire and desire to be. I am not anxious. I'm excited. I am looking forward to what lies ahead. I am grateful for the new possibilities. I am seeing the results of that effort. So we see even now a lot of that energy starting to see either internally or externally the results of making a lot of those hard energetic choices that are amplifying their own determination in getting in alignment with the path that they know that they need to be on. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Five of Cups in its reversal and our Three of Cups. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Queen of Cups in its reversal. It's a lot energetically right now. What are we seeing that's happening right now for a lot, specifically for the feminine energy? Some different things happening right now for masculine and feminine energy. Masculine, potentially, again, this is bringing back some of these, like, depending on where you are or how connected you are to your inner child, different types of things opening up right now, right? A lot of the masculine energy potentially moving into some modalities of nostalgia right now. A lot of the feminine energy moving, again, especially if this is masculine, that's trying to build forth with feminine from a place of authenticity, integrity, right? How does a child build forth in relationships? A masculine almost trying to connect with their inner child, to be able to say, if I can connect to my inner child, if I can build a relationship with feminine from the aspect or perspective of the child that does not desire artifice. This is masculine almost trying to remember what it was like prior to having that false template that they felt like they were trying to move into. Coming into that state of authenticity now is almost the masculine leading forth, building that point of vulnerability. But what's the masculine saying right now? Is the masculine energy saying, I'm afraid to be my authentic emotional self in front of feminine? No. This is masculine almost affirming and saying, I am excited to reveal my inner child to the feminine. I am excited because if I reveal my inner child to the feminine will reveal their inner child to me. I am going on a journey to find my inner child, because when I find that energy, I know that I can find the counterpart there. So we see even now a lot of the masculine energy starting even now to feel that sense of play returning. Particularly, even if there was a modality now where you may have had to let go of a feminine energy, feeling that sense of being able to energetically love someone from a distance. This is almost that masculine energy that's opening up their own heart space, because again, that is the gift of generosity. That is why the masculine in separation that's leading forth in this way is trying to get in touch with their own inner child, because that is remembering the gift of generosity, right? That is that modality, especially if this is masculine energy that's going on that path work in feeling like they're on different paths with another energy. This is the masculine almost again saying to someone like, I am opening my heart space. I am leaving myself excited at the possibilities. I am finding room in my heart for it to grow, because that isn't a point of constriction. That is a point of energetic expansion, if you will. Feminine energy, this is a little bit of a harder journey right now if in separation, because this is that modality that we're effectively or energetically seeing right now. That is the feminine energy, feeling the loss, feeling the weight of having to energetically let someone go, but feeling that sense. And again, for the masculine, this is the masculine energy saying effectively, I hope one day they understand. I hope one day they understand what I was trying to tell them. I hope one day they understand that that is the work that I'm doing in this capacity, right? And that's almost the masculine saying, I don't think they're energetically ready, but hopefully one day they will. For the feminine energy, this is more one that feels like the amplification of grief or sadness, because for the feminine energy, this is that amplification of what may best be described as the feeling of having to leave someone behind to be able to facilitate healing. This is even having that moment of thinking about them and having that expressed desire of hoping that they're okay, hoping that they're going to be able to like find their own path, right? Because this is the feminine energy that is feeling the energetic release of saying, I can do everything I can except carry someone through. I can do everything I can except carry someone through. They need to find their own path work. So we see even now with the feminine experiencing that, this is a feminine energy in separation that may still be overwhelmed with a lot of that sensation. What is happening for the feminine energy experiencing that in separation? The amplification of the energy around them saying, I understand. You are not moving in that way of trying to hurt someone energetically. You're doing something that feels like a very hard healing. This isn't something that you're trying to do to try to navigate or hurt someone. This is something that you're doing because you're deeply trying to facilitate healing. So we see to a certain extent, a lot of the energy right now is getting that point of validation from other energy moving in that modality, saying, I recognize it. I see what you're trying to do. I see how hard that is. I see how impossible that choice was. And that in itself is uplifting a lot of the feminine energy in this modality. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into, and this is the feminine energy almost saying to them, when that energy recognizes it, they'll be there. Whereas again, this is the masculine saying to themselves in separation, when that energy and our paths are in alignment, we will find one another. We will encounter, right? That's the masculine and feminine going through these separate journeys right now. In both cases, it is a heart expansion. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. This energy right now is the equivalent of feeling that sense of letting go of some energy potentially as you come into divine union. Masculine and feminine having slightly different journeys there. The masculine, the observation point of feeling energetically that as you move away, as you move into divine union, either again, that's that sense of leaving behind your own energetic self, that past version of self, or recognizing that there are some energies that are almost energetically closing a door on you because they see you moving in that capacity. This is the masculine energy potentially recognizing and feeling that deep energetic lesson in understanding how that may have pulled you out of divine union in the past. That was that anxiety point of chasing the abandonment wound as opposed to following your own path in relationality, to recognizing that, like, when we move with intention, there's always going to be things we have to leave at the wayside on the way. For a lot of the masculine energy going through this right now, this is creating a lot of new perspectives, potentially on past path work, seeing things with new eyes, building that deeper sense of clarity even now, because there's this observational point in relationality to the fact that our ability to prioritize energy rests solely within our own self. We can't look outside of ourselves to determine the prioritization of energy. That will always be an energetic failure point. So we see even allow for a lot of the masculine energy coming into this point of understanding. It's this clarity. This clarity is why a lot of masculine energy almost moves into that grief-based mentality of feeling like you lost a diamond in the rough. Because a diamond is only a diamond when you say it is a diamond, when you affirm it is a diamond. So we see even now, for a lot of the masculine energy going through this process, this is requiring a lot of self-assessment in terms of your own past journey, even at a time that you may be finally grasping that. Even at this time of finally recognizing and understanding that. Masculine, and for feminine energy, seeing a feminine energy coming into divine union, and seeing a masculine that is seeing the energetic ripples that are happening around them at a time of coming into divine union, and seeing a masculine that is choosing to prioritize and not move into a space of anxiety, almost saying, this is excitement. I don't care. I don't care because you are my priority. I don't care about that. I don't care about that past experience. I don't care about what's happening with that past person because all of this is happening. I recognize that whenever I do something, there's always going to be a reaction. That's how energy works. For a feminine to see a masculine that has understood this, that has the integrity and intentionality of purpose, not to be rocked by tremors. This is the feminine that feels like, again, coming into divine union, because this is a masculine energy saying, I've got you. I'm going to choose you. I'm going to prioritize you, regardless of what energetically occurs around me. And that is, to the feminine energy, the expression of love. Masculine and feminine energy in the heart of the divine union. This modality, this ability to build forth in this way, this is old. This is something that you recognize. This is something that you identify. This is something that you're very used to if you're in the heart of the divine union frequency. The ability, even now, to prioritize the energy of the divine union. It's creating that moment. And what's so interesting about this now is that observational point in how much one has energetically changed since embodying or coming into that experience. For masculine and feminine energy that are in that frequency, it's having different impact. Masculine, it is creating that sense of, again, a lot of this nostalgic activity in terms of returning back to the inner child, because this is what happens when a masculine energy feels safe to take their armor off. They move back into the modality of child. Feminine, this is that modality that is a little bit more difficult for the feminine, because this is the feminine feeling the heart opening, the emotional or energetic overwhelm, feeling that abundance of love energetically. That's almost like feminine trying to facilitate that and taking, like I said, taking any of that anxiety or doubt and fear and transforming it into positivity, right? Almost like forcing that spring, turning it and saying, I'm not going to let this be a place of overwhelm. This anxiety can become excitement. This anxiety can become excitement. I just need to transform it into that. I need to move that within myself. So we see a lot of the feminine energy in the divine union frequency working through a lot of that process, because that's that energetic overwhelm that you're choosing to amplify into positivity. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Three of Cups in combination with our Page of Cups. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with, not surprised to see it, we've got here our Fool card. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is a feeling, and this is that energetic, like pushing of the envelope of the self. What do we do when we're challenging ourselves? What do we do when we're moving towards our highest aspiration? What do we do when we're moving in that modality of recognizing and identifying and saying, I'm trying to find my highest version of self. I'm trying to move into that highest version of self. That is that moment that always feels like that sense of excitement, but also like uncertainty. Excitement mixed with uncertainty is like that feeling of like energetically like pushing your own envelope, if you will, because that's trying to hit that sweet spot where you're not like overwhelming yourself and going too far, like, you know, into that realm of uncertainty, but you're also challenging yourself enough that you're trying to keep that into a space or place of delight. So we see even now the problem with that has to be the fact that that can sometimes be a little bit of a shifting goalpost, right? Depends on the day. Depends on what you've eaten. Depends on how much water you've had, right? So even now we see that a little of this feels like a lot of calibration that's happening a lot. But it's even more amplified because you're not doing it in a vacuum. You're doing it with the energy of the counterpart. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency. This is that feeling. It doesn't feel like you're doing this so much within the self. You feel like you're doing this. It feels like you're like away we go kind of energy with you and another. If this is a modality, like I want to say that this is almost like that energetic equivalent of like coming into divine union and someone being like, you can't sit with us. What's the energy of the energy coming into divine union saying to energy that's like, you can't sit with us? This is the energy saying, we don't want to anyway. Why would, like, we're not sitting, we're going somewhere, right? This is that modality of experiencing that sense of, again, bringing elation to an experience that feels a little uncertain, right? This is that modality of almost, again, the affirmation of the energy that's saying to themselves, again, either looking at the past or looking at the energy around them and saying, if something positive is happening to me and you're making it seem like it's problematic, then maybe there is only one problem. Maybe you've identified the problem. Maybe we've identified like that modality of suddenly looking at that and saying, be really a lot cooler if you didn't, right? Again, we see the energy in the divine union going, it would be really a lot cooler if you did, right? That's that moment of saying, like, you know, you can feel how you want to feel, but the energy in the divine union frequency is prioritizing the feelings of who? The energy in the divine union frequency. That is the prioritization point. That is the bulletproof aspect of the energy in the divine union frequency, because it's not operating in that sensitivity, anxiety point of the externalized energy. It's working in relationality to what feels like it is within. So we see even now, what we are seeing is this moment wherein we identify that a lot of this energy, there is this feeling. If you have not entered the divine union frequency before, it may be feeling like that uncertainty in relationality to like what comes next. But what is the energy doing right now to help that feeling? Affirming and saying, you're not alone. I'm here with you every step of the way. We're doing this together. We're doing this together. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. This is that moment that we're seeing that feels, this is like a lot of that shift energy. We're seeing here that there's a lot of that shift energy that is happening right now in relation to a lot of the energy in separation, feeling that sense of feeling like you're coming back into alignment, feeling that sense of the energetic support around you. And even now we see that there's still that sense of potentially moving into the unknown. But at the same time, what is the amplification point here? I'm taking the energy of the separation, potentially taking that anxiety and moving it into excitement. taking that anxiety and moving it into elation, not allowing it to kind of like overwhelm, but feeling that sense of positivity and possibility to amplify and to redirect any of that energy that you were feeling the energetic heaviness in, and moving it into that space or place of positivity. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Page of Cups in combination with our Wheel of Fortune. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Eight of Swords in its reversal. This is why we even see that for a lot of the energy that's been in separation, that's been doing that hard work of moving away from what you feel doesn't serve you, or recognizing, coming into that limitation point and trying to heal something and fix something and feeling like you reach that point of not being able to give anything else to something. That ability of coming into a state or space of surrender, feeling like it was hard work every step of the way. We're seeing here that it's now starting to energetically pay off, because what we're effectively identifying here is that sense what happens when you put a lot of effort and energy into something. Things start to get easier. Things start to ease up, right? Sometimes you need to grease the wheel, and sometimes the wheel is greased. So we see, to a certain extent, we're starting to see a lot of that energy and separation, feeling those like signs of some of that shift happening, feeling things that are getting back into that energetic feeling of alignment, even if you're in separation, is now creating that sense that like it's not that you don't still feel some of that energetic pull from the past, but it feels like it's having less of a prioritized hold on you, right? That's called learning to live with it, right? That's called heart opening. We see that's happening right now for masculine and feminine. Both of those energies potentially encountering or feeling that sense of like excitement overwhelming the feeling of anxiety. Continuing here, masculine and feminine energy between. Now the energy right now coming into the divine union frequency. This is that modality of, again, I have to say, this is a lot of the energy coming into the divine union frequency, like having that moment. I keep saying, if there's something happening here in terms of energetic alignment, where it's like something isn't energetically aligning as you're coming into the divine union frequency, this is a lot of that good riddance energy, right? It's a movement away from going, oh no, stop, come back, to going good riddance, right? Like that is that moment that almost feels like that point of energetic or spiritual breakthrough, because that's that moment that's, again, coming into someone having that point of personal contentment, personal intention, overriding the energetic frequency around you, right? That is that modality. For the energy, I have to tell you, for the energy in the heart and coming into divine union frequency, seeing a masculine energy experience something and just letting it fly off like water off a duck's back, like feeling a masculine energy have that point of impact and then go, did I stutter? Seeing a masculine energy that like knows what they want, but more important than knows that they want, doesn't change their focus, almost uses it. What happens? It sharpens it. A masculine energy that becomes sharper when energy tries to like break their concentration, their energetic concentration. That is the most appealing thing a feminine energy can see on the part of the masculine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Because that is a masculine energy that doesn't allow that distraction point to be the world outside of themselves. That is a masculine energy that's showing evidence of having built an internal compass, of having built an internal GPS system. And for masculine energy that is coming into the divine union frequency, that ability to recognize that within one's own self, that is the journey of the self. And this is, again, if this is a masculine energy that is moving into the divine union frequency and feeling like there's a lot more distractions that are suddenly opening up, this is a masculine energy that is recognizing that same point of determination, that same ability to inhabit, having that point and being like, thank you for allowing me to be able to really punctuate my point. right? That is the energy of the masculine that's not allowing themselves to self-sabotage. That is a masculine energy that's found the divine union frequency and says, oh, no, 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 not again. I know what I'm doing now. I know not to allow myself to be interrupted by my own self or by the energies around me, because that's a masculine energy, having found contentment within the self. The energy coming into divine union frequency, in the heart of the divine union frequency, this is a bit more of that breakthrough energy, feeling a lot of these internal breakthroughs that are happening right now for the energy in the divine union frequency. Has to do with feeling yourself changing, feeling that internal shift, feeling that internal transformation that is occurring, because this is the energy right now where it's not the outside that's changing so much as it is the inside. So that ability to identify that ability to recognize that, it's bringing out different qualities within masculine and feminine. So for the masculine, that childlike quality rising to the surface. For feminine, channeling that emotional overwhelm into spaces or places of positivity and optimism. For both of these energies right now, we see that this is something that feels like a little bit of entering the unknown, because this is almost like finding sides of yourself that you haven't experienced before, but feeling the safety net of being able to energetically explore those places. Because what is the energy in the divine union frequency saying to themselves? I've got you. You've got this. Keep going. I'm here to support you every step of the way. Energetically giving that validation, having that point, helping someone recognize, helping someone become their best version of self. Even now, it feels like, again, it feels like there's unlimited possibilities. But more than anything, the hurdle around that is working on that sense of focus, like letting that be that moment of almost like reorienting as you experience yourself shifting, and then asking yourself, is the manifestation goal the same? Am I still in the same direction? Do I still desire the same things? Right? That internal investigation. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Wheel of Fortune in combination with our Ace of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Two of Wands. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency. This modality that we're seeing here, in the heart of the divine union frequency, this is why we see so much of this work right now is built upon planning, is built upon laying these plans, is built upon like building this like firmament, if you will. Because what we're really identifying at this time for a lot of the energy that is in the heart of the divine union frequency, it has to do more with keeping one's focus on like where one is trying to go, what one is trying to do. That's why we keep seeing that a lot of this energy right now in the heart of the divine union frequency is working through a lot of plans, laying that groundwork. Because what has the energy in the divine union frequency recognized? The more that you have a plan in place, the more energy that you're able to take back, right? Being able to foresee and to have those points energetically ahead frees you up energetically in the present. So we see even now a lot of that path work is requiring a lot of investiture of time, effort, and energy now to be able to have that sense of easement going forward. So a lot of this is the practical application coming in right now for a lot of the energy in the heart of the divine union frequency. The same for the energy just coming into the divine union frequency, right? What do you do when you have that uncertainty in terms of what happens for the path ahead? Masculine and feminine energy are working together to build that structure, to build that plan, doing it between them, with the counterpart. Having that modality of being able to build with the counterpart right now is what is energetically allowing a moment that feels like it's fringing on uncertainty to move back into the realm of the practical, because that moment is, again, not looking at it with a sense or state of anxiety, but looking at it from a point of view of opportunity. Masculine and feminine energy that are in separation, this intentionality, This is what we energetically see right now that is amplifying and allowing a lot of this energy and separation to start to feel that sign of hope, feel that sign of excitement, starting to feel like the sun's rising to a certain extent. Because what we're really identifying here for a lot of the energy that's in separation, you've been in separation long enough and you've been putting so much, you allowed yourself that investiture, doing what you knew you had to do as opposed to what you felt you wanted to do. Doing that right thing, even though it wasn't the easy thing. That is like what we see is continuing forward in this point. But now it's getting a little bit easier because someone's seeing the result of doing so. So even now, what do we recognize is happening? The energy and separation is laying out even more of those plans, laying out more of that communication. They're doubling down in putting the effort and energy in, identifying and recognizing that, like, sometimes you need to energetically move yourself into a space before you feel it, right? That by embodying it and becoming it, you start with the actions and then you find yourself in the space that you want to go. So again, a lot of that feeling of putting one foot in front of the other is now showing some signs of actually energetically getting somewhere. And even now we see a lot of this energy, it's not that relinquishing of the past. It is that sense of feeling that one is just doing what one needs or has to do, and feeling that sense of excitement and saying, I don't know what's around the next corner. I don't know what's going to happen next. The realm of possibility and hope exists that way. It doesn't exist in looking back at the past. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Queen of Cups in its reversal and our Fool card. Clarification coming through right now with our Knight of Swords. Masculine and feminine energy right now. In separation, this is feeling a little energetically difficult, okay? Because we see here that the masculine energy, having learned, I have to say, a lot of the masculine energy right now in separation feels like they've had a very important, valuable lesson that has been learned that came at a very high price. It feels like there's something here where masculine feels to a certain extent that they've learned some very integral aspect of themselves. The problem or the hurdle around this has to do that it feels like it costs them the connection potentially with a feminine in order to have that breakthrough point. What is the masculine doing right now? The masculine is trying to validate anything that effectively happened in that way by saying it had to mean something. It had to make sense. I have to make it make sense. I have to validate that pathwork now by moving better going forward. I need to make this right. But is this masculine energy trying to go back to the past to make it right? No. Masculine energy is utilizing this and even now feeling like that gift or opportunity of building forth with a sense and state of clarity and openness, not wanting to build a world of illusion around feminine. That is the gift that masculine feels like they received potentially from some past connection. And even now we see that this is a masculine energy that is almost honoring that energetic connection by saying, I'm not going to let that happen again. Not again. I won't do that. I won't let that occur. So even now, this has been giving a lot of the masculine energy and separation a new path of integrity, a new purpose, leading forth with that sense of openness. Like, it's hard, but this is the energy almost saying, I'm pushing myself in that modality because I need to make what I may have effectively or energetically lost in the breakthrough of me understanding that worthwhile. So we see even now a lot of that energy is moving forward with a lot of conviction and purpose. But a lot of it's also carrying the weight of what it energetically took to be able to receive or understand that. Feminine energy in this modality, the reason the feminine energy is going forward in this way is the feminine energy feels the strong affirmation of recognizing and saying, this is a feminine energy that does not feel like they are energetically leaving someone behind. This is a feminine energy that has tried to get a masculine on a healing journey. And what is the feminine energy affirming to themselves even as they continue forward from this point? If that masculine energy truly gets on the healing journey, I will be the first one to know. They will be the first one to tell me. They will know where to find me. This is the feminine energy saying, when they are ready, that door is open. When that door is open, this is the feminine energy that's almost like I've left them the note. I've told them the situation. I've given them everything they need. I've equipped them as much as I possibly could for that journey that they need to go on. When they recognize it, when they understand it, this is the feminine saying, I hope that they will find me. And this is the feminine energy saying, but if they don't, I'm okay either way because this is the direction I was going anyway. This is the feminine energy saying, I hope that energy can find me, but I'm not going to wait to see if they do. This is the feminine energy and saying, I need to move forward on my path. I hope you can join me. I need to go forward on my path. Maybe I'll see you there. Maybe you can catch up if you move fast enough, right? This is the feminine energy saying, I'm not in a rush. I'm going this way. I don't know what's going to happen. But if you hurry up, you might be able to catch me, right? Even now we see that's why we see even now some of this feminine energy is feeling like this, because this is the feminine energy that's still feeling to a certain extent that if someone like sped up on their healing journey, they might be able to catch up. It might take a miracle, but this is the feminine energy saying, anything is possible, right? Because this is the feminine saying, I know this is the direction I'm going anyway. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union. This modality, right? And even now, the masculine energy in separation, if this is feminine where they feel like they had that cost run, if this is a masculine energy in that modality of having learned this lesson, what is the masculine energy in separation trying to determine right now? Do I go back to them and do I tell the feminine energy, I understand now, or do I utilize this as the lesson going forward, right? This is literally the masculine vacillating in separation between these 2 points now that they've had that energetic breakthrough. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency. This is the feminine seeing a masculine with intentionality and purpose. This is the most appealing thing that a feminine can possibly see in a masculine, which is, again, a masculine energy that knows what they want and has conviction and intentionality of purpose and relationality to going forth on that. But more importantly, that doesn't mean that the masculine energy is trying to pull the feminine energy in a direction that they don't aspire and desire to go. This is the feminine energy feeling the full weight of a masculine counterpart as they come into divine union, that even at a time where some of the energy around them is shifting or trying to energetically pull them away, this is a masculine energy that's recognizing that is always there. And it doesn't affect their own conviction. It doesn't affect their own determination. It doesn't move them off their own energetic mark. So we see even now, for a feminine energy, to see that modality of a masculine that can both be very driven in terms of what they aspire and desire for, but at the same time, ever mindful of moving in alignment with the feminine, that the masculine's intentional purpose is moving in alignment with the feminine. Do you see that? This is not a masculine that kowtows to a feminine. This is a masculine energy that works to always be in step with the feminine. That is their conviction point. That is their purpose. The masculine working in that capacity is to the feminine almost emotionally or energetically overwhelming when you experience that, because that is the feminine energy feeling a masculine that truly prioritizes the feminine's safety, prioritizes the feminine's desire, because that is the masculine energy that is, again, not just following the feminine energy around, but almost, again, building forth in that way of saying, I want to just do it together, right? Feminine, masculine, seeing a feminine that you, again, feel like you can be your most authentic sense of self with, feeling like you can bring out your own childlike energy, feeling a feminine that moves in that space or place of alignment, of energetically protecting you in that space, feeling that energy of the counterpart that feels like they are a confidant. That is that moment for the masculine that feels, again, like that energetic exuberance point, because it feels like you're on this continuous adventure with the feminine, right? And so being able to be in that modality is one that, again, it's not a space or place where you're recognizing that abandonment point in terms of past connections, but it's almost reframing your own experience in relationality to seeing some of the feminine energy around you that like aspired or desired to be in alignment with you in that way. So we see even now that for a lot of the masculine energy, that point of observation and looking at a past situation and recognizing how the way you are moving towards feminine may have been off the mark, which is what led to some of these like things falling apart around you, or having a better understanding of the reactivity point of some of the present energy around you as you're moving into divine union. Light bulb. Boop. Masculine and feminine energy in the heart of the divine union. What are we energetically seeing here? The energy in the heart of the divine union, this is that modality that feels like a lot of breakthroughs that are occurring right now, but they're feeling less like they are external breakthroughs. They're more internal breakthroughs, right? For feminine, a lot of being able to take that emotional overwhelm, that heart expansion, and putting it into a space and place of practicality, taking that anxiety and pushing it up into excitement, not letting it overwhelm you, but transforming it. Literally the journey of the feminine right now. What's masculine doing? Masculine, taking that drive, taking that ferocity, taking that anger, taking that intensity, turning it into excitement, For both of these energies, this is going to feel a little bit like grist in the mill. It's going to feel a little rough, right? Because this is that moment that you're like, like it makes you have to take something that like your natural inclination is to move in one way and then go no and bring it out of that. Like that is what we talk about with having to do a little bit of this like grind energy, but it's showing, it's coming through. It's allowing for that point of productivity, right? So we see even now for the energy that's doing this, it's that sense of saying, seeing the counterpart doing it too is like, it's an adventure, right? It's almost looking at someone being like, every day a new adventure, okay? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Fool energy in combination with our Eight of Swords in its reversal. Clarification coming through right now with our Ten of Wands in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy that are in the divine union frequency. Why do we see that the energy is working so hard right now? This is paving the way to try to have things be easier going forward, right? Energetically, it's just as simple as that. For the energy in the divine union frequency, this is giving a lot of this like energy of like, work hard to enjoy later. Push hard and like lighten up the load in the future. Like this is literally the energy right now that's looking towards the future and trying to do themselves a favor by getting a lot of that work done now. I told you, pulling the manifestation goal closer through the activation time now. Okay? Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. This is the breakthrough point that is potentially allowing a lot of energy to feel like a lot of possibilities are opening up before you right now. Like it's giving a lot of this energy of feeling like energetically like the possibilities are endless to a certain extent for a lot of this energy coming into the divine union. And it's that modality, as it were, that's amplifying that sense of enlightenment, that sense of easement. Because even now, this is the energy that like if there's something that is departing from a time that feels like it is a point of joyousness, honestly, the energy coming into divine union is like giving a lot of this like good riddance energy. One less thing to worry about. Thank you for giving and making things easier. Because what's happening right now is like a lot of the energy that is moving into divine union realizes and recognizes that's requiring a reprioritization point of some of the energy. And this is almost the energy recognizing and realizing if they're coming into divine union, if like the energy around them doesn't appreciate or respect that reprioritization point, then that's the energy in the divine union saying, well, I guess we just took some weight off our back. I guess they just showed us like, okay, like it's literally giving like a, like not being concerned, being like, that's peculiar. Okay, like it's really giving that type of energetic signature, because that's a moment of someone, again, prioritizing the energy that they're in movement with, having a bit of that sense of seeing something that doesn't make sense, but also almost like throwing one's hand up and saying, well, I can't do much about that, right? So we see even now for a lot of the energy in this modality, there's that sense of saying, well, maybe in time something will get different. But if not, the energy is like, well, it's not deviating us anyway, right? Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is even why we see a lot of this breakthrough that a lot of the energy is having in separation right now. It feels like a lightening. It feels like the removal of a burden. It feels like if you've been doing that work of moving away from something that you don't feel like is energetically aligned to you, it's not that it's gone. It's just starting to get easier. You're starting to get used to it. You're starting to integrate it. Right? Because this is that moment that you realize that nothing ever goes away. We just learn to integrate it. So we see here that this is that moment that a lot of the energy is saying, I'm getting better. Like this is the energy saying, I haven't forgotten. I've just gotten used to it. I've opened up my heart space. I found room for it. Right? And that's the energy feeling that easement. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Eight of Swords and its reversal in combination with our Two of Wands. Clarification coming through right now with positivity. Positivity coming into situations and circumstances right now, which is something we love to see. Masculine and feminine energy. I told you, it's not the fact that it goes away. It's not the fact that you stop feeling like that. It's not the fact that you don't think about that anymore. It's the moment that you realize and say, I can integrate it. It's not overwhelming me. It's becoming a part. It's just a part of me now, right? That ability of recognizing and embodying and finding a way to like integrate it within, that is like how a lot of this energy right now in separation is navigating forward, because that's that moment of saying like, I haven't forgotten. I'll always remember. It's just become a part of me now. Right? I haven't forgotten. I'll always remember. It's just become a part of me now. So in a way, this is a lot of that energy coming into that moment of catharsis and saying and holding that and saying, I'll always have that with me. They're always with me. That's always with me. Even if they're not here, they're always with me. That's always a part of me now. That is a part of my journey, right? A lot of that energy is coming into that state or space of feeling the cathartic energy in almost saying like the memory is something that can be held and nurtured, even if it's difficult. Because now it's the moment that we see that the energy is saying, it's not that I'm trying to forget, it's just that I'm not trying to remember either. It's just something that is there. It is something that is another part of me, right? All of this effectively coming through. Masculine and feminine energy that are coming into divine union. The energy coming into the divine union right now, what we're effectively seeing is, again, that modality, seeing a lot of energy ripple around you, seeing a lot of accommodation points, either within or without, but not letting it break your conviction. That is that moment that, again, feels like that point of easement. Because that's that moment that is a point of observation and acceptance. All that matters is the fact that for a lot of the energy that's experiencing that right now, it doesn't, I mean, I don't want to say that it's indifference, because this is the breaking of an abandonment wound. If it feels like it's indifference, well, congratulations. It's because you're moving forward with integrity. You're letting your conviction guide you, and you're not being affected by that abandonment wound being triggered. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy that's feeling that, this is that sense of saying, like, it's not that it doesn't bother me. It's that it's accepting that that's the way it is, right? So a lot of this feels like that emotional maturation. A lot of energy is hitting as they come into divine union right now that like amplifies them. What's the energy doing? They're feeling that sense of being free to like move forward and lay that groundwork for themselves energetically. Now, masculine and feminine energy that is coming into, that is in the heart of the divine union. This is that energy that this is the expansion of the self. This is coming into recognition of who you truly are, finding your true voice, finding your own power to a certain extent. Even now, a lot of the energy that is in the heart of the divine union, you feel like you're healing a lot of your own sense of self-limitation. You're moving into that realm of expanding your own possibilities. So we see that a lot of that energy going through that process of expansion, one of the things that's really important is not allowing that point of anxiety to overwhelm you, taking it and transforming it into a state or space of excitement, moving that anxiety into elation. Like that's almost a process that we see a lot of the energy moving into right now, because that's taking that sense of uncertainty and moving it into a place of joy. And that's something that a lot of the energy is like making the intentional choice of doing. It's not always easy, but we see that a lot of the energy is trying to navigate how to do so, to continue to move forward in a way that feels like it is inspiring, as opposed to feeling the weight of anxiety overwhelming. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Knight of Swords in combination with our Ten of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify, clarification coming through right now with our Strength card. It's an act of strength. Masculine and feminine energy, it's building on one's own sense of fortitude in different ways. For feminine, it's having to build a sense of resilience. For masculine to do so has to be a moment of vulnerability. Feminine needs to become more resilient in order to do that. Masculine needs to become more vulnerable. Feminine needs to take the anxiety and put that resilience and that drive into it to turn it into excitement. Masculine needs to take all of that ferocity and that anger and add a little bit of empathy and compassion into it to turn it into excitement. Both of these energies working on going against their own intent, like their own natural state, pulling it back up, if you will, to try to bring into that space or place of allowing it to become the amplification of joy. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union right now. This is the energy, seeing things, seeing those ripples that are happening as you come into divine union and not giving a darn. Honest, and it's like that moment where, again, if you're not giving a darn and you're staying committed to your purpose, it's not because it's not hard. It's because you have built the strength within yourself not to be affected by it. For masculine, that's that observation point of not allowing that abandonment wound to pull you in and out of the current, to move you away from your own intentionality and purpose. For feminine, seeing a masculine energy that's ready to move into that modality without feeling like you need to force it. Like even for both of these energies right now, this is that work that says like if it's easy, it's because you've been working your tail off. Because it doesn't come easy. It actually takes like energy, someone being like, you make it easy. But the reason that someone appreciates it says, I understand how hard it is to be that easy at something, right? I understand that if you make it look easy, it's because you've been working really, really hard on that within yourself. And you're not doing it to impress. You're doing it because you learned that path within yourself. Masculine and feminine energy in separation. You're on that path for yourself right now. What's feminine doing? Feminine energy is using resilience and determination to continue forward in a direction that they don't aspire and desire to go. And what's important about this is, again, while they're holding some hope that maybe masculine can join them on that journey, they're not turning back. They're not turning back. Masculine going through that modality as well of, again, working through a process where if you're trying to lead with authenticity towards feminine, it's really hard because the hardest thing to do is be vulnerable. Masculine pushing themselves into that hard point of vulnerability, being vulnerable. Moving into that child space at a time that you want to pull those defenses up, right? Even now, that is masculine energy, like learning how to like open their fist, right? Open your fist for that handshake. Continuing forward in this, the energy in the heart of the divine union right now, this is that energetic gift that you're effectively giving one another right now, because this is that modality that we see that for both masculine and feminine energy, you're trying to take these parts of yourself and make them easier, but trying to make them energetically easier from within. And a lot of that, which is really beautiful, is this is the energy doing that for the sake of the counterpart. Not wanting to put that additional burden on someone, not wanting to create that space of burden, is requiring the energy right now to almost try to pull themselves out of their own, for the feminine, potentially over emotionality, for masculine, too much aggressiveness. They're doing that for the sake of not wanting to burden the other with the feeling, is why the energy is trying to learn how to do it within. Whatever reason works. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ten of Wands in its reversal and our Sun card. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our King of Pentacles. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. What do we see that is happening here? Masculine and feminine energy in this modality right now, recognizing a lot of this work, seeing and observing it. Masculine in the divine union frequency right now, this is building a lot of practices in grounding. A lot of this is building the masculine, that feeling of stability is interesting, because we see that even now the masculine energy in the divine union frequency is trying to find easier ways of feeling stable, like keeping that focus right now on creating that point of stability and also maintaining it is what we see that is occurring here. Because that is that moment where, again, I see that a lot of the masculine energy is almost asking themselves, like, I want to make sure I can work, like, I want to put a lot of effort and energy in. But what is the purpose of doing that if we can't have those moments of easement? Right? That is why we see that the masculine is like struggling back and forth right now between that child energy and also that more stable energy, because this is the masculine energy trying to find that balance of like work and play, as it were, that'll make things like more consistent and stable going forward. Feminine, you're potentially seeing a masculine in this modality right now, but what's interesting is it's actually requiring or making the feminine energy work even harder, because this is a feminine energy that is trying to, again, not lean on the masculine in this way, but almost like wants to stand beside the masculine. So what does a feminine energy want to do that wants to stand beside a masculine? They want to be in a space or place where they don't feel like they're leaning on the masculine energy. Masculine and feminine energy that are coming into the divine union frequency. This modality that we're effectively seeing right now is, again, that point of recognizing there's a lot of the energy coming into the divine union frequency right now that sees energy that is moving away from them. But the energy is not reacting to it. This is that modality, again, of saying, like, if something is moving away from you at the time that something should be a happy moment, this is the energy saying, noted, right? Masculine, feeling that stability, because that's a moment of masculine, feeling like you've put your stake in the ground. You've laid that flag down. You're creating something for yourself. And that's that moment that almost feels like an easement point, because that's masculine holding on to one's ideals, holding on to one's sense of purpose. That is the commitment energy of the masculine. Feminine, seeing a masculine, basically going into that state or space of being like, did I stutter? Is like, again, that moment of easement for a feminine, because that's a feminine energy that feels like that is masculine energy choosing the feminine, making that choice. That's not the energy of someone giving you some promise of partnership. That's feminine energy seeing evidence of that in real time. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation. That is that point that we're recognizing and identifying in separation that feels like the feminine and masculine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, experiencing that moment of energetic catharsis that feels like even while you may have been forcing yourself in this direction, there's something about it that is starting to show some kind of energetic easement point. For feminine, what is potentially happening right now that's creating that energetic easement point for the feminine? Potentially encountering masculine that feels like they know what they want, that is trying to lead forward with integrity, that is being very clear about what they're trying to create with the feminine. Feminine seeing some evidence of this around them is giving the feminine energy some kind of energetic support right now in feeling like it is something that exists. And feminine seeing examples of something existing affirms to feminine that they are in the right direction. Masculine, feeling that sense of stability even now and seeing some of the fact that your ability to lead forward from a place of honesty and clarity and suddenly recognizing that you're seeing some kind of energetic shift in the feminine energy around you by doing so. It is that energetic breakthrough because this is that moment that, again, if you're doing that hard work within yourself, you are feeling that point of affirmation and saying, I see the results of the effort. If something's changing, it's not because the energy around me has changed. It's because I have changed the way that I am addressing. I am changing the way that I am behaving. It is because I'm changing the way that I am encountering the energy. Final card for today's spread between Strength card in combination with our King of Pentacles. One card to clarify, please. That's why the masculine energy in separation is feeling the moment of catharsis, because you're doing that hard work on the self and you're seeing the results. Doing something different, seeing the results, even if it's hard, will immediately give masculine energy further encouragement, further conviction, further drive to keep going, because that is, again, seeing the tangible results of your own actions. Feminine, seeing examples of masculine energy that knows what they want, that is clear, that is determined, that is coming from that space or place of basically, again, leading forward with like the stability, leading forward with talking about what those plans are. Having a masculine energy that's being able to meet you in that way is, again, affirming to feminine and saying, I'm doing that hard work because I'm seeing that such a thing is possible. That is affirming that this work is not necessarily not only there, but possible, which is, again, affirming to feminine energy that the choice that they made to move away from someone for someone to be able to move into that modality for themselves was feminine saying, I feel like I'm doing the right thing. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union. This is the masculine energy feeling the affirmation and relationality to what they're creating for themselves at this moment. This is a masculine energy. If this is a masculine energy that's moving into divine union, this is masculine energy that's finally feeling like they have something that is truly theirs. This is masculine energy recognizing that you don't just pick something like that up, you create it. So for the masculine energy that's working with feminine in this way, this is the masculine energy that feels that strength and confidence, because it feels like it's not just the masculine energy doing that independently. This is masculine energy that feels like they've got the energetic support of a feminine creating with them together, right? So even now, this is masculine energy saying, I'm getting the confidence from the feminine that is amplifying my own ability to build forth in this way. For the feminine, seeing a masculine energy that's willing to stand firm in this way, is willing to, like, again, hold their conviction, even in the face of energy trying to shake them, even in the face of energy, like pulling them, like energetically away from the feminine, or even masculine having some kind of internal breakthrough that makes them look at the past in a different way. But masculine almost, again, holding forth, building that energetic connective tissue with feminine, almost working it through, making the feminine energy feel again, like the confidant of the masculine, building with them, is that moment that amplifies that feeling of feminine truly coming into divine union, because it feels like they're creating something new together. While masculine and feminine energy in divine union, this is what we see that the energies are challenging themselves with, pushing each other into these modalities. Even now, even through moments that they're not necessarily feeling this, feminine's feeling emotionally overwhelmed, they're trying to be strong. Masculine is feeling a lot of that inner child rising to the surface. Masculine's trying to ground through it, all for the sake of what feels like it is productive for the energy of the divine union. Bottom of the deck on today's reading, Page of Swords. There's a lot of uncertainty hanging in the air here. There's a lot of energy about, I have to say, anxiety, doubting one's own self. A lot of the energy, even now, maybe looking back at places and spaces in the past wherein you didn't lead with confidence. This is just a reminder that, like, the beautiful aspiration of finding moments in the reason we rise to the energetic challenge of the present is almost having that moment of looking back at the past and wishing that we had. So looking at those moments, and I'd say in a way, like, be grateful energetically for them, because those moments that we hold on to with a lot of anxiety or regret, those are our deepest lessons. So even now, being able to recognize that and use them to amplify the work going forward, it's not that it's not energetically heavy, but it gives it meaning. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here to experience it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please remember, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these messages. And we will do this again